Pregame.com. I am merely Steve Fezzik. I'm happy to be here with two-time Cantor finalist Bryan Leonard, and I was able to sit in a couple times with you, Bryan. We're going to be breaking down an ESPN game here, Miami against Duke, and the opening number is Duke minus 2.5, and we'll be talking about the side in this game. And Bryan, I've had a good time in your absence here as you were prepping for the semis and the finals, and it's great to have you back here with us.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and well, you've had better luck in these championships and some of these contests than I have. You're the two-time Hilton champion, but yeah, it's 4 times I've been to the championship, lost all 4 times, but it's good to be there. In fact, in this one, won $20,000, got a $5,000 entry fee. So we made money doing it, but it's just frustrating not being able to get over the hill.
Yeah, and I have to say, I had like 3 second-place finishes before I finally punched one in and won. And then once I won, it suddenly became easy.
So it's like the NBA. You got to work your way up there in the playoffs to be able to win the championship.
And then after you win like 4 of them, you never win one again.
I'm happy to win one, I'll tell you.
But anyways, we're here to talk about this this matchup. I really think when I look at Duke, here's a team, number 1 in the country again, that very interesting schedule dynamics in that you look at their schedule and you see all these games where they're at Davidson and they're at all these other teams and they're playing the games in the Bahamas or they're playing on a neutral site. They've really only played 1 true road game at NC State of late, which they lost. And they stormed the court and everyone went crazy. And so now they're playing a team, Miami, Florida, normally that they would be favored historically by more. It's only 2.5. Maybe the odds makers are saying something. This game sets awfully low considering where this line would be typically. Would you agree?
Yeah, I know this is your play here, so I don't want to give too much information. Don't want to steal your thunder. But yeah, Miami's a team right now that's actually ahead of Duke in the ACC. They're a perfect 4-0, 3-1 for Duke. And as you mentioned, the only game they played, a true road game, was NC State, and they lose that game. But, the Hurricanes, what's amazing to me is you watch Monday Night Football. They've got a lot of players that play Monday Night Football. Beginning of the show, and they talk about where they're from.
Where's this going?
The point is I'm off on a Fezzik rant here. The point is, Bryan Leonard, the U has an 8,000-seat basketball arena that they never sell out. The U is supposed to sell out this game. In fact, they've talked about this being the biggest game they've had in years. But you got 8,000 people, and you can't sell out. This is the U.
Well, it's also very nice in Miami, and the weather's good.
There's a lot of other things to do.
So that's true. But the Heat probably had a lot of problems selling out when they don't win 60 games a year. So that it is interesting. Maybe it will become a basketball town with all of this. I do love the fact that Miami, I think they lost their center, and yet here they've won 3 of their first 4 on the road. They're sitting at 4-0. I can't imagine that they've been 4-0 and in this sort of position before. So this is probably arguably the biggest game that they've hosted in the past 10 years. On an aside, I actually got to meet Coach K, nicest guy in the world. I don't know if you knew that last year. So right at Michael's at South Point, and he was just the nicest guy. And one thing about motivation, I talked to him real briefly about winning the Olympics, and what a thankless job there, because you're supposed to win, and you put in all that time and effort. You get no credit. If you win, golf clap. If he would have lost, everyone's like, oh, he can't coach worth the lick. He just gets the best players, right?
Yeah, take a look at the Lakers coaches this year. Everybody, these are 2 very good coaches, and they're not getting any credit now. But, yeah, you take a look at the Hurricanes, and they've actually come out and they've said how important this game is. They've faced number 1 teams before. I think the last time they were ranked, they currently just made the rankings, but last time they were ranked to play the number 1 team, I think it was like 10 years ago or something. So this is a big game for Miami. And you mentioned the injury for Miami. Reggie Johnson's out for Miami, but Duke also has Ryan Kelly out. He's been out 3 or 4 games right now, and he's probably more of a key than Reggie Johnson is, although they're both very good players. But you take a look at the Hurricanes, 4-0 in the ACC, but earlier this season they lost to Indiana State, and Arizona, and they also lost to Florida Gulf Coast in mid-November. You see this every year. Teams go into a game, they don't prepare, and the little teams just can't wait to play the big brothers. And so you see this all the time. All the teams at the end of the year, they go, and Duke was 28-2, and they lost to, and then they show the teams they lost to.
Do you have power rating?
No, I do not.
Even find them on the map.
I couldn't mention a single player. I couldn't even tell you what the nickname of that team is. But they're a perfect 7-0 straight up at home, 4-0 in the conference. But interesting, when they lost to Indiana State, they held the Sycamores to 27% shooting. They're the better team, hold the other team to 27% shooting, and they still don't win. So they got to play some defense in this game to beat Duke. And the line's a little bit cheap here, as you mentioned, 2.5. You look at this on the schedule, well, that's going to be something probably in the 5-6 range. But like you said, the lines makers feel that this game is very important for Miami and thinks Miami's for real.
Well, we kicked it around enough. Let's go ahead and make it official. Very good. We're going to be on Miami of Florida, currently plus 2.5 on the overnight line. For my own personal bet, I'm going to wait because I think that the name recognition, the game's on ESPN, I expect I'm probably going to be able to get a line that's north of that 2.5 come game day tomorrow, but I will be on Miami as a free pick here. And so we've got some videos upcoming right now. We've got, you can go ahead and see all this at pregame.tv. And Bryan, you're going to be breaking down, I believe, a Mountain West showdown here in New Mexico, Colorado State next on pregame.tv.